Hi students, today is Wednesday, June 10th, 2020 or 2020. I want to remind you today to read independently for 20 minutes. You can break it up throughout the day and do it all at once. It's up to you. Now let's talk about what your assignments are for reading. Today you are going to do a reading that's out of the shared reading book, and it's called Field Trip Funds, and it's located on page 10 and 11. And you're going to follow the annotation directions that are at the bottom of the page. You can also find the directions for the shared reading on day 3 on this direction page right here. The respond section here has pretty much the same annotation directions, with some of the wording just slightly different. Let's go ahead and take a look at field trip funds really quick. So when you open it up, you might have to log in if it's the first time. It's not my first time today, so that's why it just took me directly there. You can do a customization if you would like and take some notes, or you can just, if you want to do that, click yes, or you can just click no. It said it was on page 10 and 11, so I'm going to do it the quick way and go to page 10 and 11. And here we go, we've got field trip funds. Down here is where you see the annotation directions. So first, read or listen to the text, and then you are going to circle a word that has the same oo sound as in food. Then you're going to underline a word that means part of but not all. And then you're going to put a star next to an important event from the story. Okay, let's go ahead and go to writing. So for writing, it says use details from the text, which is this text right here, field trip funds. Explain how would you raise money for a field trip. Now, if you print this out, go ahead and feel free to write in here. But if you don't, then go ahead and write on any paper that you would like to. For grammar, let's take a look at those pages. So grammar, you have a crossword puzzle. And with a crossword puzzle, you have clues that are given to you. And you've got to figure out the missing words. Now, this is kind of a challenging one. And part of the reason it's a challenge is because you don't have the words, like a word bank. You really have to come up with the words. So don't get too frustrated with it. Just try it out. If you start to get tired of it, then just leave it for a little while. Don't worry about it, okay? So these are the across clues. So across are like number 14 and 13 and 11. They're going side to side like a row. And then down are the up and down ones, like 9 and 12 and 2 and 1 going down like this, okay? All right. So I'm going to just read the clues to you. So for one across, known by lots of people like a celebrity. Number 3, hard but brittle like a tortilla chip. Number 6, water is liquid, ice is. Number 7, completely quiet. Number 8, wide. Number 10, old, bad smelling and moldy. Number 11, covered in something wet, like a toad's skin. Number 12, the opposite of short. Number 13, full of good flavor. Number 14, wanting to know lots of answers. Okay, now here are the ones for down. So 1, new and sweet like a tasty fruit. 2, thin. 4, beautiful. 5, having a strong, unappealing smell. 7, the opposite of weak. 9, not sweet or sour. 12, the opposite of tight. This might be fun to do with a family member. And again, if you don't get all of it, it's okay. This is a challenging one. Okay. Now, for this spelling page, what you're going to be doing is taking the spelling words. We worked with these yesterday. And you're going to be sorting them by words that have 4 letters, words that have 5 letters. There's one with 6 and there's one with 7. I'll go ahead and read these words to you. Another, bloom, does, good, cook, shook, smooth, soon, tooth, and would. If you want a little bit more to do with the spelling words, you can always write sentences with them. That would be kind of fun. Okay, let's go ahead and go back and let's talk about math. Okay, so you're going to go to Google Classroom. You're going to click on the 11-4 assignments, and there you will find the video that you can watch. And then you've got the student page, some worksheets, a game, and some extension worksheets that you can use for practice. So if you want to listen to me read the problems, then go ahead and stick with the video. If not, that's all I'm going to talk about. So you can feel free to end the video right now. Okay, let's take a look at the student page. So the student page is the one you would have gotten in class. And you can just skip the front page. You can follow along with the video and write some problems in there. It's up to you. Let's go ahead and go to the inside. So it says to use mental math or 10 frames. So for some of us, we're still really practicing our mental math. We did do this with addition. So now it's just subtraction. So now it's just the opposite. So maybe thinking of 10 frames might help. Maybe thinking of the hundreds chart might help. You know, or even thinking of tens blocks. So try to think of whatever picture in your mind you can picture. If it's too tricky or it's difficult, feel free to draw a picture or use the hundreds chart. It's okay. Okay, so for number 1, they used 10 frames to help them solve this problem. So you had 20, which is 2 10 frames. 20 minus 10, 1 10 frame is crossed off, and that would be 10. So for numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5, do whatever method's going to work for you. Like I said, if you need to draw a picture, you want to use the hundreds chart, go for it. Okay, and then the do you understand? Explain why only the tens digit changes when you subtract 20 from 70. For number 6, it says use mental math or 10 frames. So just like number 1, they've got 10 frames there for you. They have the subtraction problem, 40 minus 10. You need to cross off however many are being subtracted from 40, and then you can write your answer. Okay, for number 7, 8, 9, and 10, again, try using mental math. If that's tricky, then use a hundreds chart, draw a picture, do whatever you need to do to solve these. For number 11 and 12, it says write the missing number. So you have 40 plus blank equals 60. So what's the missing addend, missing part? And for number 12, 60 minus blank equals 40. What's the missing part there? All right, let's take a look at the back page. Okay, so I always like to go to the journal first. Number 15, how can you solve 50 minus 30 without counting back from 50? All right, and so write down what you think you would have to do. Or talk about it, you don't have to write it down. Number 13, Jamal has 40 stamps on his desk. He puts 30 stamps in a notebook. How many stamps are left? So you see our old friend, the part, whole box there. So go ahead and try to figure that out and, you know, do what method works for you. Try using mental math. If that's not working, use the hundreds chart, draw a picture. Number 14, Martha has 90 beads. She used 40 of them to make necklaces. How many beads does she have left? Okay, let's go ahead and go back to our schedule and let's take a look at some of the other pages. Let's look at the worksheets. Okay, so this is the reteaching and practice pages. So for the reteaching page, it's just kind of going over some of the things that you've already learned. Here are 2 ways you can find 80 minus 20. You can count back 2 tens or 20. So 80, 70, 60. Or as I showed you on the hundreds chart, you can start at 80 and then count back by 10. So you start at 80 and then 10, 20, and then that number you land on last would be your answer. Number 2 says use cubes to subtract the tens. So there's a picture of the cubes. You can just draw them, just draw sticks. And then they had to draw 80 and subtract 20, so they crossed off 3 tens, and their answer was 60. So this is saying count back to subtract tens and use cubes if needed. So you're going to try doing both of those methods. for numbers 2 through 7. Okay, and I know there's not, if you print this out, there might not be enough room, so you can just do it on a scratch piece of paper. Okay, so here's the Spanish page. Now for the practice page, you just have a lot of practice, either to try to do the mental math, or it says 10 frame cards, or if you want to draw the 10s, whatever is going to work for you, but you've just got some practice to do that with. So for numbers 1 through 8, it's just subtraction problems trying with that mental math. Okay, number 9 says use mental math to solve. A jar holds 50 marbles. Lane is playing with 10 of them. How many marbles are left in the jar? Number 10, number sense. Rocco had 90 cards. He gave 50 of them to Susan. How many cards does he have left? Okay, let's look at the game. Okay, so try to see if you can find a dice in your house. If you have Monopoly or any other kind of board games, you probably have a dice laying around somewhere. And then it says you get 6 red squares, 6 blue squares. You just need to get something that can be either your game marker if you print this out. If you don't print this out, then you can just try to keep track of what numbers you are kind of covering up. So it says pick a number in the circle. So 80 and 70 are both the circle numbers. You're going to toss your dice. It says subtract that many 10s and then say the difference. So if I roll my dice and I roll the number 3, that means I have to subtract 3 10s, which is 30. And I have to say the difference. Then it says if you see the difference on the game board, cover it with a square. Again, if you print this out, you can do that. If you don't and you're just doing it with the computer, then just try to remember what your answer was. Or you can write it down on a piece of paper. It'd be easy to draw this grid here. If you do not see your answer, then it says you lose your turn. So if you keep coming up with answers that are on this grid, you get to keep going. And if you don't, then you lose your turn. So what did I say? If I rolled a 3 and I had 30, that means I subtract 3 10s. So if I picked 80, 80 minus 30, I could cross off 1, 2, 3, and I could count how many are left: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's see, is there 50 on here? Yes, 50 is right here, so I still get to keep going. Okay, down here it says, if to win, you either have to get 3 in a row in this pattern, 3 up and down like this, or diagonal, kind of like tic-tac-toe. For try again, it says talk about how you subtract 10s and then use the place value blocks to explain what you did. For that, you probably don't have place value blocks at home, so you might just draw pictures. So a stick for 10s and then just a little dot or a small square for. Here's the game in Spanish. I'm going to just briefly show you the extension worksheets. I am not going to read them to you, but just so you kind of get a glimpse at what they are supposed to look like. If you print this out, you'll need a pencil and a paper clip. Okay, well, students, that's it for your assignments for today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in another video.